you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another episode of All About Mechanics. Now today is going to be Darkshade Caverns 2. We're going to do it on veteran difficulty, and of course we're going to activate hard mode as well, or complete it on hard mode rather. And of course we're going to use the same setup as before: one tank, one healer, one stamina DPS, and one magicka DPS, making sure that no roles are left out. Again, once you've finished this, hopefully you'll have a better understanding of how to approach the mechanics of this particular dungeon. Tactics and mechanics are two different things, but I am going to explain how everything can be done. Here we go. Now, when you first enter this dungeon, you will see that the layout is actually the same as Darkshade 1, and there is an additional room at the end, so make sure that when you get to the last area, don't just quit. It's not over. There is a door to go through to get to the last boss. Just like Spindle Clutch, there is an extra door. Now, some of the ad pulls in here are quite harsh. They are large in number, if you like. There's lots of squibs, there's lots of quamas, all those types of things. Make sure that your tank is positioning them in the middle, as central as possible, while the rest of your group tries to burn them down with AoE. And of course keep your healer away, because if they get punched by a Quama, they're going to die. They really hurt. The next room is full of ads, and your first boss is here. In fact, this is a little bit of a pug killer occasionally, because people don't know how to avoid the fire, but I'm going to explain it when we get there. First of all, get into this central area here where the little campfire is. Tank should be dead center, and try and grab everything into the middle as possible. Now, it is a little tricky because there's a lot of range stuff, so you have to make sure that you're on interrupts with those if you're a DPS or a healer. Just help your tank out. Above all, don't panic. Keep everything into the center and burn them down with AoEs. They will go down eventually, so there's no rush. Just make sure that you're on interrupts and you don't run around in circles. Running around in circles, especially if you have aggro, will just make things chase you and kill you in the back of the face. So give your tank a bit of a break and don't run away. Now, this boss here has a lot of ads. He's very similar to this room here, where everything is kind of spread out, but he is more central, and there's a little trick to his really nasty mechanic, and that is to basically go around him in a circle. Where I say don't run around, this one is a little different. So what we do here, if you keep as much AoE down as possible, the tank would usually taunt the boss and hold him still, and try and pull in as many things as possible at the same time, so you can kind of burn them down with AoE while focusing the boss. Now, he's got a couple of attacks that you can avoid. They're normally aimed at the person who is aggro, but this one here, this fire that's going around in a circle, stay a few feet ahead of it and go around in a circle, and it won't touch you. If you try and dodge roll underneath it or run past it or go the opposite direction, you will take some serious damage and you will die rapidly. So just be really aware of that. The ads aren't too bad as long as your tank is on point, but again, you see that went over my head, took a lot of damage there. Don't stay in it. Not all DPS have as much health as this particular build, nor do they have tanks spamming out Ignis shields while your healer's on point. Sometimes it can be a bit messy, so be really careful. Get into the habit of avoiding that fire. Go round in a circle. We gave two demonstrations, of course, one of how to get out of it and one of how not to, but be very careful. If you're in an optimized group, let's call it that, and your mitigation for the group is really high because your tanks and healers are really good at it, you might be okay. But again, get in the habit of staying out of the fire. Yes, I'm a vampire, but that's not the point. Fire will kill you generally anyway. This pull's really simple. Get your tank to hold everything still and burn them down. They're not really a threat. They have a little bit of a charge ability, but you can just step out of that if they do. The next pull is technically two pulls, because we have some humanoid types at the front, and then the Quamas and Squibs and stuff at the back. They're two pulls separately. You can actually do them in two stages. However, if you want, you can pull them all together. It's up to you. But above all, again, get your tank in the middle, pull all the range stuff in, and control the melees. Now, if you are DPS or healers, again, keep an eye on the archers around the outside of the room. Make sure you interrupt them if your tank can't quite get to them, because, let's face it, everyone can interrupt. Don't just put it on the tank. Once they're down, I mean, keep as much AoE as possible on the floor, but once they are down, we'll then move into the next room, and that is quite hefty. There is a little bit of a trick where you can kind of skip the ads, but we're not going to show you that. We're going to show you how to kill them. See, they die fairly fast, but they can hit pretty hard, especially those Quamas. You don't want to get punched by those as a DPS, especially not a squishy. Couple here, very simple. Get your tank to taunt them both, turn them away from the group, kill them quick. Again, that's another key point, by the way, for you tanks out there, especially if you're new tanks. You're probably not, because this is a version 2 dungeon, and you've seen a lot of the series already, I hope. But turn stuff away from the group. The reason you are the chunky one with the shield is because you can take the hits. Don't turn stuff against the group. Pin all these together, smack them down. AoE in the ground, make sure the tank is controlling that sphere. They can be a real pain in the ass. And of course, these dwarven spiders must be killed fast, and when they have the dome over them, little electric dome, interrupt them. That's a new mechanic for you, if you haven't seen it before. If you don't interrupt them, they will charge up and get stronger, and the spheres will go over and charge up off of their buff, if you like, and they will get stronger as well. You'll see that the little spider there has got blue lights on him, and so is the sphere to the left. He's now powered up, so you have to be really careful that it doesn't happen. But again, pull everything into the center, get your tank to control the room as much as possible, and put as much AoE down as you can. This isn't about single target at this stage, this is all about area of effect. Now this boss can be a little tricky. Basically he's got two Kwama type enemies, two squibs beside him, and they need to be interrupted. The boss can be turned around towards a tank and just burnt down with basic single target damage, is absolutely fine. If you have AoE down, that's also fine. You can burn the squibs down, but they will respawn, so be aware of that. Now, there's a lot of red in this area, so it's hard to see the telegraph effects for the interrupts, but those two Kwama dudes will actually, or squib guys, will actually try and stun members of the group. They'll make them sit down. Now you have to interrupt them to prevent them from doing so. They'll also heavy attack as well, so if your tank has got hold of them both, it's generally not a problem. But keep your eyes very, very peeled on those little minions there, because when they have the red flashing effect coming out of them, you do want to make sure that you bash them to stop your group from getting pinned and stuck on the ground. Now, of course, they go into the ground occasionally. He enrages a little bit, and then he gets back up again. During that phase, he's got a damage shield, so just burn him down as fast as you can, based on what you've got. It's not a DPS race as such. It just means that the faster you kill the damage shield, the quicker it comes off. But it's not the end of the world. If you take longer, you take longer. Again, key point to that fight is to interrupt the adds. As long as your tank is controlling the adds and they're not squashing the group, you're absolutely fine. Now we've got some new enemies. We've got some Centurion types. These are a pain in the ass. Make sure your tank is turning it away from the group. Stay out of that spin or block it, and stay out of his face. If you're a DPS or a healer, you do not want to be in his face. He's got some nasty, nasty cleave effects, and they will knock you over and or kill you if you're a squishy. So be really, really careful. We're going to find a few of these now. In fact, we're going to see a lot more of them. Remember, turn it away from the group. Do not stand in its face if you're a squishy. And these Dwemer spiders must be killed. And if they get an electric dome over them, they must be interrupted. Because not only do they charge themselves up, not only do they charge up the spheres, but they can charge up that big dude as well. As you can see, he's got blue runes all over him now. He hits much, much harder. Now, the spheres need to be pulled in quickly. They do fire long-range dart attacks if they're not taunted and pulled in at random members of the group, so you have to be really, really careful of that. It's almost like a snipe, not quite as powerful, but it does really, really hurt. Also, they've got some nasty AoE kind of effects that go in a straight line at whatever target they've chosen, so you have to be very careful of that. Another dude here, very simple, spin him around, kill him. Don't stand in his face, don't stand in stupid. That big spin, just step out of it, otherwise you're going to get knocked down and it's going to hurt. You can block it, like I said a little while ago, you can block it, but it's up to you. Block or move out. Don't sprint around the room. There's no need. The tank has got the aggro. Focus on what you're doing. Another nasty pull here. Everything should be centered in the middle while the tank pulls in the spheres as fast as possible. Watch your feet because they fire nasty AoEs at you. See that one there? Now I stood in it and it took me down to half health with a healer with a damage shield. If you have 16k health or so on an average squishy stam, you're going to die. It's pretty nasty. Now this boss is similar to Spindle Clutch 2, the 3 Atronachs. Their health is connected in the sense that if one dies, something will happen. Now Spindle Clutch, if one dies, the others get stronger. This one, if one dies, he's on a timer where if you don't kill the rest fast enough, he'll get back up. You don't want to do that. So what you need to do is pace your damage in as much area of effect as possible. So don't focus any one target unless it's got more health than all the rest of them. Keep as much area of effect down as possible. Now the tank should be able to hold these still and pin them kind of on one spot, turn them around so they're all facing him or her. But if they do get a little loose, don't run around the room, just block until the tank has regained aggro. They do a little jump occasionally. It is a heavy attack, it will knock you down, but if you block, you'll be just fine because it really doesn't hurt that much. Now you can see that the middle one's not taking enough damage here, so I'm now starting to focus that one instead of the one to the right or the left. Now they're all kind of meeting an average health and we can just burn them down together. Again, if you kill one a lot faster than the rest and you don't kill the others quick enough afterwards, it will get back up. It won't have full health, but it can be a real pain in the ass and you end up fighting this for ages. So key points, stay behind the bosses, AoE as much as possible, don't focus any one target unless it's got an abundance of health in comparison with the rest. Now this next boss, this is the pug killer of all. This is awesome. Fun boss, lots going on. A lot simpler than it looks, but it can end in tears. This ad pull, by the way, same as before. Pull them all into the middle, hold them still, AoE as much as possible, and don't stand in stupid. The spheres hit really, really hard, so if you are a DPS and a healer, or a healer even, make sure you pay attention to what they're doing, and if it aims at you, block. Now, Grobull, this massive, massive squid-looking netch. This is a very simple to understand boss. He reflects anything you fire at him unless he is on the floor. So if he's in his current state, he'll have a damage shield over him, and he will reflect everything that you fire at him except for AoEs on the ground. So, he will also take 10% damage. He won't take hardly anything at all. Now, you see that lightning AoE underneath his feet? He's going to dart around the room, and he's going to do that quite a lot. You want to make sure you stay out of it. If you don't get out of it quick enough, it will stun you, you'll be suspended in the air, and you'll have to break free. And if you can't break free, you're going to die. The rest of the time, you need to make sure that you stay fairly close together as a team, and you cluster up all those tiny, tiny adds. As much area of effect on the ground as possible, and they will die very, very fast. They can be rooted by the tank as well. Now, this big one here, this big Netchlin, they heavy attack. So if it's on you and it's heavy attacking, block it. Do not run away. The tank should be able to focus these and make sure they're taunted, and the group should focus them down as a primary target above all adds. Now, when all the adds die, eventually, each one will shock the boss and get rid of his damage shield, and he will do this. He'll sit on the ground. This is your window of opportunity to kill him. So, save all your ultimates for this phase, burn him down as fast as possible before he gets back up. As soon as he gets back up, stop damage. He'll reflect stuff. Be careful. Now, the next phase starts again. All the adds will come in, you kind of cluster up as much as you can as a group, burn everything down with area of effect while the tank kind of controls them with talons or CC effects, whatever you've got depending on your class. Again, focus the big one, not the boss, the big Netchlin. He hurts, and you will get more than one. The longer the fight goes on, the more of those you will get, so be very careful. Key points to remember again, AoE's on the ground, do not fire at the boss, stay out of the lightning, and focus that big Netchlin. Again, once enough enemies die, each one that dies will shock the boss's damage shield. Once enough enemies die, he will sit down again, and there's your window of opportunity. So keep your AoEs down and build up ultimate the whole time. You will have to move about a lot to stay out of his damage, but just don't panic. Don't run around headless. Stay kind of coordinated. Again, another window of opportunity for you to get your damage done. He doesn't do any damage to anyone at that phase. When he gets up, get out. Depending on your group's experience and damage output, you can actually kill him in one, maybe two burns, depending on how many DPS you have. Some people run it with 3 or 4, but generally 3 is a good average. But don't panic if it goes longer. You can still do it, but it just means you have to control the adds a bit more because you'll have more of them. Very simple. Small adds die to AoE. Big adds have to be focused. He's going to go down one more time, and I think we've got this. 300k health, yeah, he's going to die. Again, talons from the tank or CC. They can all be pinned except for the big one. Keep that big one taunted. He's down. Ignore the adds. Let the tank grab them. This phase is just for the boss. And now he's dead. Whenever the boss sits down, stop focusing the adds. The tank should be pulling them away or just holding them still next to your area of effect damage. It's only when the boss is in the air that you need to focus the adds. Unless, of course, you're overwhelmed and they're killing you, in which case kill them and go another round. These dudes, again, turn them around, face them away from the group. Everybody burns it. It's not a problem. If he spins and starts running at the group, then that's when you're going to die. Do not run around. Just focus on what you're doing. There is a pull-up here. I think this is related to the speed run, because if you don't kill all the adds and all the trash in the dungeon, it won't count. So make sure you do kill these. These are very, very clustered up already, so it's quite easy to control for the tank. Just make sure you got taunts on that sphere and interrupts on the spiders, so they don't charge up and so they don't snipe the group. Now the next pull is another pug killer. It is hell if you don't focus. There are a large number of Dwemer standing outside of the doorway for where the boss was in Darkshade Caverns 1. Now, if you run straight into the middle of these, you're going to aggro every single one of them, and you are going to die horribly, unless you're extremely experienced. But you want to pull these in phases. You do need to stay together. Get the healer to put down a healing circle or something of that effect. As long as you're in the heals, you should be fine. The tank will have a hard job here. you'll need to control as much CC as possible as far as the spiders are concerned, because they will come to your feet. The Centurions will also come to your feet, so you can taunt them and you'll be fine. But the spheres will not, so they will need to be chained in. Pay very close attention to interrupts. Make sure you bash the spiders when they put the dome up, otherwise enemies will get charged up and you will take a lot more damage. There's not really any chance to take a breath here. Every time you get rid of one phase, another one will kind of run in and start on you. Now the spheres, again, you can see from the distance over there, the tank has just pulled that in. They do fire a circular AoE across the ground at the group. If you stand in it, it will take you to at least half health. It really hurts. Spheres should be turned away from the group. Centurion should be turned away from the group. Area of effect should be kept down as much as possible. Now you saw that sphere there got pulled in and then went back out again. That's fine. Just focus on what he's doing and make sure you keep an eye on his attacks. He will throw darts, he will throw AoEs. Just step out of it and block if you have to. You do not want the Centurions to be charged up, so the spiders do need to be focused. Block that attack if you get caught. Again, the tank is really struggling with resources on this one. So make sure that if something is attacking you, you don't run away, stay close to the tank, and if anything's going to hit you, just block until they can recover. It is a real pain and the group does need to focus together. Now you've got 3 spheres at the back there. Now obviously, generally the tank would chain them in if they can. Remember, there's a lot of resources being used here. Failing that, while these last 2 are kind of being burnt down, you can just put some AoEs on them to keep them busy and just stay out of stupid. Now that the big ones are gone, there's not much left to do. Pull in the chains with all the spheres and kill them in the middle. There's a couple of CCs, so do watch that. Don't fire meteors on a random ranged target because your tank won't be able to pull them in. Stay in the heals at all times. Keep your AoEs down at all times and don't run away. It will kill you. Now, the next boss. This is the infamous Engine Guardian, and pre-1 Tamriel, and probably quite a lot still now, this was a group destroyer because people have to focus. The common misconception is that you don't need a tank for this. That's technically false. You can do it without a tank, of course, but if you do have a tank, instead of the traditional taunt the boss and hold it still, you can debuff the boss, of course, protect your group, and you can control the adds above all. You can't control those adds with no taunt. Now, what you need to do here is pay close attention. There are 3 phases: fire, poison, lightning. Now, they're random, so keep your eyes peeled. That fire phase is now happening. The flamethrower that comes from the boss, do not stand near him. He will kill you. And then he'll obviously fire loads of meteors at the ground. You need to stay out of those as well. This boss will constantly go around in a circle. He'll sit down and change phases. So it is very difficult for you to get your DPS on. So you have to kind of preempt your AoEs on the ground. And of course keep as much direct damage on it as possible. Now the next phase is poison. You will take a shit ton of damage during this phase. So make sure you've got your own heals. Make sure your tank has got some shields or something to that effect. And the heals are coming in. Lightning phase. This is where you must stay away from the boss because he will zap you. But then 3 adds will spawn. These hit very, very hard. So your tank needs to grab them as soon as possible, kind of center them into the middle of the group while you can burn them down together. You've got a decent amount of health, so they're not too squishy, and they do fire nasty snipes. During this phase, of course, we're being greeted with a fire stage again, so stay out of stupid. Key point: kill those adds. If you don't kill them, and you get 2 lightning stacks, one after the other, you'll end up with 6 adds, not 3. Now that flamethrower that's going around him, you can see that he's green now, which means poison. Red is fire, green is poison, lightning is clearly lightning. Now, you'll notice that when he does a flame stage, even though he sat down and got back up again, the flamethrower is still going around him for a full cycle. That will still kill you. Do not stand in it. Wait until it's over. Lightning phase again, here come the adds. Tank's job, pull them in, everybody else kill them. You can interrupt them, you can block their heavy attacks. While the lightning phase is happening, by the way, if the spider does cross your path, you can dodge roll underneath it and you won't die, but don't stand near it for too long. Fire stage again. Stay away from the boss, he has a flamethrower, and move out of stupid. Stay together as a group. Catch up with him after the adds are down. This is a long fight because he's constantly mobile. You'll see me preempt kind of AoEs on the ground, knowing that he's going to sit down. He is timed. Poison again, stay away from the fire. Now, something to note, this is basically hard mode, because there's no scroll to activate this. But if you go through the middle, there are 4 crystals with switches attached to them. If you press the switches during the poison phase, you can turn the poison off. Do not do this. If you do, that is your hard mode gone. That cancels it. So it's your choice. You can basically survive by pressing all the buttons and not healing and turning hard mode off, or you can just do what we're doing now and ignore the buttons, and you'll have a successful completion of hard mode. Adds again, because you went lightning. You must focus the ads. You must focus the ads. There's always 3. Fire phase again. So you stepped out my caltrops because you have to throw it in front of him. After about 10 seconds, he'll sit down. You can drop your ultimates at that phase if they're short durated ultimates, but generally I just keep them for the ads just to get rid of them quickly. Poison phase again. Pressures on the healer and the tank. Shields and heals. If you are a DPS and you have a heal or a shield, it's not going to hurt you to put it on. Lightning phase again. Here come the ads. Ignore the boss completely. Get a dot on him or so if you want, but focus the ads. You notice I use my banner there to dispatch the ads, not to get the boss. Although, a little bit of tactic there. He did go through it, so he took a little bit of damage. Always focus them. They've got to die. Poison phase again. Make sure you're getting heals. You can do your damage. You can put dots on him. You can follow him around. He doesn't actually hit you during this phase. He just poisons the room. Sat down. Next phase. Fire again. Stay out of stupid. Stay away from the boss. Don't go into his face because he will set you on fire. And it's literally like 2 ticks of fire and you're dead. Vampire or not. So just damage him as much as you can while he's moving. Place AoEs in front of him. All that good stuff. Lightning phase, again, more ads. Kill them, kill them, kill them. Kill the ads. If you think you can burn the boss, you're probably wrong. Always focus the ads. Now, you'll notice that we just got some more. He went lightning phase twice in a row, so we got double ads. We now have 6 in total. Although a couple are dying, we've had 6 in the room. That is why you must focus the ads. If we were trying to fight the boss then and he sat down, had 500k health left maybe, we'd have 6 spheres in the room all trying to snipe the group. That would devastate us. So always, always focus the ads. The boss is almost down. I think he's pretty much down at this point. Once he sits down, we can just drop ultis and he'll die. Unless it's a fire phase, which means you have to get out because you'll be in trouble. But remember the phases. Green is poison. Get near the boss and kill him. Red is fire. Get away from the boss. Damage him if you can and stay out stupid. Lightning phase. Stay away from the boss. Dodge roll under him if he's too close, but above all, kill those ads. Very, very important. So, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of what to expect in the way of mechanics in that particular dungeon. Remember, tactics and mechanics are 2 completely different things. Mechanics are what are laid down for you to try and get around, and tactics are the way that you approach them. So, once again, thank you all very, very much for watching. I hugely appreciate the support, and if you are not subscribing, please do hit that button. It is free. Furthermore, if you want to help support the channel outside of YouTube, there are some links in the description for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, the website zoneandgaming.com, where all the written guides and a forum are now, and of course Twitch, where I stream every day 10 PM UK time. Once again, thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.